So this is the podcast. We're jumping in right now.
Oh, okay.
And no, don't change. Stay just conversational. Yeah. So welcome to the Brook Hill podcast, Life, Legacy, and Leadership. We have Olivia Pate, my daughter, but our guest today, she's my co-host. My two guests today are just the absolute best alumni in the world.
Oh, no.
We have Jaiden and Kalayna. If we can get the audience just to go crazy. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
They are a crowd favorite. These are a couple amazing alumni. Y'all were campers for how many years?
Ooh, I think three. Yes.
3 years. Okay, 3 years each. And we're going to kind of get into that. But excited to talk to the three of them a little bit about transition in life today as we're looking at leadership and all that different things. But, so if you're listening today and that's kind of where you're at in your life, those are some of the things that we want to touch on because you've got two college freshmen here and a high school senior, but all three of them are going to new schools that they did not go to last year. And there's a lot of things to unpack there. Yeah. And then Jaiden said, not only am I going to go from high school to college, I'm going to do one college my first semester and then transfer to another. So those are the kind of things we're going to talk today.
Staying on our toes.
Yeah, as we talk about life, leadership, and legacy. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so let's talk about when we met. So y'all were seventh graders first time at Brook Hill?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes. And so one of the reasons we met, I was actually telling your mom this the other day as we were at lunch after chapel, is my buddy Tim Barton would always come to Brook Hill every summer. And whenever he would get there, he always wanted to go play basketball with the campers. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. So I was way more active in camp when he was around. And he said, let's go play basketball with some campers. And then we saw y'all in there. Y'all were hooping. And we were like, that's who we want. And so I think we played like 4-on-4. We picked up the two of y'all. And then we just said, any group of four guys, come take us on. And we just whooped them. And so we had a lot of fun in that. And then we just talked and connected and hung out. And then I think year after year, y'all came to the same, because Dead Week is when y'all came to camp.
Yes. Yeah.
And so then Tim would come back that same week and we would all keep playing. Of course, your friend Chloe Clardy, who's going to be playing for Stanford. She came that one summer. I think it was her 8th grade summer.
Yes.
Y'all's 9th grade summer. But anyway, a lot of fun as we connected. What did y'all think about camp? Like what was your experience as campers?
Ooh, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Well,
go ahead. Yeah. I don't know. I just really enjoyed coming to camp because I have been to other camps in the past and I hadn't been to one like this, and I had never been with my best friend either. And so that was like a transition, to get to know people with my best friend and learn about the Lord,
Yeah.
And also, there's so many different the people there, the red t-shirts, they came up and they were always talking to us. We knew that they wanted us to be there.
Yeah.
And so I think that was really life-changing for me, is how much they cared about you here, and also you and Sam, huge people, and Lexus. I don't want to forget Lexus, but huge people, and coming here and wanting to come back. We started, a little later, 7th grade, but then the next 3 years of our lives, we, got to come back and enjoy it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can say without a doubt that coming to Brook Hill was my favorite week out of my entire year. Wow. Those 3 years that I came here. Awesome. Without a doubt in my mind, because the amount of fun that we had here was just so, I don't know, it was just so much. What she said about the counselors, they weren't just people that hung out with you because they had to. Mm-hmm. It was Lexus, she would DM us random times throughout the year and check on us. I feel a special connection to her too, just because she was my first counselor at camp. I was in the Chestnut Cabin, so that was our first year, so we didn't really know what we were doing. And she really took us under her wing. And I don't know, all of those counselors, they had they wanted to know more about you. It wasn't just, hey, I'm just going to talk to you because we're at lunch. It was hey, I remember you told me this about your brother. How's he doing? Or I remember you told me this last year, and they'd follow up with you. It was real relationships. And so I'll always carry that with me. And it taught me to be more relational with other people.
Intentional.
To be intentional with the relationship that you create, because, you'll have lifelong friends that way.
Because how did it look how it made y'all feel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if that's what leaders did for you when you're leading, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that do for other people? You know, I know, Liv, you experienced that. You know, Olivia has a unique thing this year because she's transferred to Little Rock Christian, which happens to be a school that we get a lot of campers from. You know,
Yes.
I know Wampus Cats in Conway. We do have a lot of Wampus Cats, but Little Rock Christian has a lot.
Yeah.
And it's very unique because Liv was a senior counselor. Then she transfers in as a senior, and all these campers.
Yeah, I'm like walking the halls and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey guys, like what's up?" Like I'm like going to class and I'm a counselor like in the middle of it. It's the coolest, most fun thing I've ever done.
That's awesome.
You almost can't stop being a red T-shirt.
No,
'Cause you're
yeah.
like, oh, wait,
Like I have
I'm
to keep it on
Yeah.
all the time, like even in the hallways at school. But
I'm not all summer. I'm all year.
I am
life.
365 days, baby. I'm going
So
all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually get to serve in the elementary for one of my classes too with these 3-year-olds, which obviously have not been to camp. They're babies. But I walk the halls and I'm like getting to that classroom and like all the kids are walking by. They're like, "Hi, Olivia." And I'm like, that was my camper. Like, "Hey, girl, what's up?" Like, she's just going to class, but it's so cool to do that.
Yeah, it's cool to see the other perspective of it too, because I
Yeah.
was seeing it from the camper's view, but
Yeah.
to see how she feels every single day, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you hadn't had a chance to put on that red T-shirt. Can we just say
Can we
yet?
talk about this real
Can we just say
quick?
yet?
I actually did
Yet.
JC a summer.
But you
one
did.
year.
You and Liv were JCs together.
Yeah, we did that.
How did that
loved
make
Basketball.
you feel to be able to maybe be Lexus, right? To be Sam for a week. How'd that feel?
Oh, I loved it. Like, I loved getting to pour into my campers. I still like have connections with, a few of them. And
Come on.
That's cool.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of the coolest feelings in the world to be a part of that environment of like, we love you. We love
Yeah.
all these people that are here. So that was super cool.
But how many
Mentorship,
kids
yeah.
need that though? They need that attention.
Yeah.
So many. If it did that much for y'all,
Yeah.
What does it mean for them?
Right. We don't know where they came from.
Yeah.
Or, what
Yeah.
they
No
need in
idea.
that moment. Yeah.
That's right. I love that. So we're just going to say yet on Jaiden.
Yet.
And so we'd
Yeah,
love
pending.
a comeback tour from Kalayna. We're just saying.
Yeah, for
You
real.
Hey, we got this new thing. Did you know? So not only are people JCing in college now. Last year we had a sophomore or a junior in college
Yeah.
JC, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Celia
wow.
Hill, I think. Did I get that name
Yeah.
right? Celia. Sorry, Celia. She's from Cabot. I know who she is. She's awesome. But we also have this other thing that we're doing now, half summer ACs. To where they get leadership responsibilities. Not all summer. You don't have to commit to all summer. You don't have to come to the 2-week staff training. But you do like a half summer and you get to lead activities. So you get a little more leadership responsibility, you know.
it's really cool.
So it's kind of a midway for people who aren't able to do. And that's why we created it, is for college students who are like, just don't know if I can do 10 weeks. So
yeah, that's a big commitment.
Yeah.
we're just selling right. We're recruiting right now. That's what this podcast
Welcome to Recruitment 101.
Yeah, no, that's not at all what this is about. But I just want to throw that out there, and for anybody listening.
You're welcome.
And so Brook Hill was a big deal for you guys. I mean, y'all
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
can you believe 1 week? What 1
1
week?
week.
Wow, yeah.
That's all it was. I would come home after that 1 week and say, "Mom, I can't wait to go back next year." And I would cry on the way home. I don't want to leave this place. There was just something different here. The atmosphere was unmatched.
So
I
you
think-
felt welcome. Sorry, go ahead. No.
No. Like she said, it was like the best week of the year. Being like basketball players, we only had 2 dead weeks, and which felt like went by so fast. But the fact that we were able to like come for a week and then just forget about that for we played basketball with you obviously, but like it was fun and we loved basketball. But it was just like a moment where we got to stop and like be in the Lord's presence, like with other people.
Yeah. It shows how
chill.
important that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, how important it is to like take that time off and be able to not think about those other things and being poured into, and how important that is to receive that throughout the year. I mean, it changed y'all's year.
Absolutely. And it was, for me at least, it helped me refocus because, all throughout the year when you play basketball all year round like we did and still kind of do, but like that's all you think about, and you lose sight of what things are really important and what are supposed to be important. So when I would come here and I felt like the difference literally in the air and the atmosphere, I'd be like, dude, like this is what matters. Like
Yeah,
I
like-
should be like living for Jesus every single
Yeah.
day and not worried about, okay, have I worked out today? Or like, yes, that
Right.
is still important, but I need to incorporate Jesus into me working out like every single day. So that completely changed the way I viewed everything, especially basketball. So I'm able to take that with me now and have a different viewpoint on that. So it helped me.
Like a priority check.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think it was definitely a learning curve because I kind of, felt the same thing. But it's like, you come to camp and then it goes away after a little bit. And so having that to just refocus you, and then eventually it gets to the point where like, okay, now it's actually, I'm actually living my life for Jesus and living in this way.
Absolutely.
But, just to have that refocus.
Yeah, it's like it becomes a habit once
Right.
you do it as much as you do.
Yes.
I think when we're younger, everybody's borrowing someone else's Jesus, right? You go to church, you go to camp, your parents, whatever, Christian
Right.
school, for a little bit for both of you. But there does have to be a point where I don't know Jesus through my friend. I now know Jesus, and I are now friends, right? I have a relationship with him.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think but I think camp, things like that, it helps you when you're not yet sure how to not kind of wane. Okay, now, no matter where I go, no matter what college I go, no matter if my best friend's there or not, I love Jesus, right? I now, and I think that's a process for everybody.
Yeah, it teaches you your foundation and how to learn to stand strong. And when you're young, obviously, you are still figuring it out. And over time, it becomes a stronger foundation that you can actually live out in your life.
I think what also helped too is the counselors that we had. Like, you could tell that they were being counselors here, but they also had lives outside of Brookhill, and to see them like still doing the things they were doing at Brookhill in their everyday lives, it's like, okay, I can live like that. Like I can, they set a perfect example for us. And like they were, on break time, like they're reading their Bible, and then we followed them like throughout the year and just kind of keep up with them like on social media and stuff. But like they were living like that all the time. And so to see that and have that example in front of us, it's like, okay, they can do it. Like I can absolutely live like that. So
Well, yeah, coming from like, we live in the Bible Belt, and coming from Conway, like almost everybody there is going to identify as a Christian, almost.
Right.
And going to college, I knew that was going to be a transition, a change. And so I have a lot of friends at college right now who aren't believers. And I think that having this foundation is a way that I can impact their lives, because it's such a, I'm not in that bubble anymore. And so it's to go out and, have this foundation, seeing people who have already been through it and done it.
So let's unpack that a little bit. What is that like, going from having your best friend there, having, and I know there's more than just Jaiden there. I mean, you had a support system, family, and then you go to college. What adjustments have you had to make? I'm sure there's moments where you're like, oh my gosh, is this, did I make the right decision? Overall, I know you probably think you did, but what's that like, having to interact and it's all you, right? There's no one else telling you when to go to church or when to read your word or how to live, right? And no one will know. As long as you don't post it on social media, no one will know, right? They won't. And so tell me about that. Unpack that a little bit for us.
Well, thankfully, like having a foundation in high school, like I built up the habit. I'd read my Bible every night. I actually have a journal, so I journal every night. That kind of, when I'm not feeling like reading my Bible, it's like, okay, it's a routine. Like I journal and then I read my Bible. And I have a few friends that they like to go to church, and I think, but me having the relationship on my own. So still when I'm tired late at night in my dorm, like I will turn on my phone and like read my Bible with my, with the half flashlight, so I don't wake up my roommate or I don't disturb my roommate. And that's just, it has been hard. Like it's hard to, stay in that routine when it's such a transition of life and transition of people. But I have found like comfort in that. And I'm not, it hasn't been easy, every day. I still don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm not sure what I want to do. But like being able to fall back and know that, he has a plan for my life, even when it gets hard. And even when I talk to Jaiden about it, like, I don't know what I'm doing, and she's able to, still when we're far, she's able to text me and be like, it's going to be fine. God's got you,
and vice versa.
So. You don't know what you're doing, but you are growing and moving forward. And you're not going to know for 5-6 years from now until you look back and go, oh, I see what God was doing. And I think it's so important that you communicate that because there's going to be so many people listening to this that's exactly where they're at. And, it's so encouraging to know because, you look at you two girls, and Liv, all three of you really, and it's like, okay, well, they got perfect lives. They got it. I'm serious. Y'all are three, y'all are incredible girls. And so, but to be real and go, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah. And I think it's also like with my friends in school, I think it has taught me, to make sure that I show them love first, Jesus's love, because, social media like changes the way people view things and all that. And so just to show them, this is actually what it's supposed to be like. I love you when you are hurting, when you don't, as a non-believer, like I love you no matter what. And I think that's support that some people need to have.
I love that you pointed out how you're able to call your friend and she's able to give you like godly advice. And I think that that's so important to have as people in your life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be friends. It can be family or, especially Jesus, that's the point. But to be able to call her and be like, I'm struggling right now. Like, help me with this, or can I just dump this on you? And her to be able to have that advice of like, Jesus has got you, like, and especially in those transitions in life, I think it's so important to have those people. Inslee has really been a big one for me when I was transitioning, and she herself going from home to college, and whenever she did that, and I live away from home for the most part. And so learning to have those friends and how important it is to have those people that you can call. And then also you have those friends that pour into you that you're able to pour into other people at college. And so to have that, I think that was really important, what you said there.
You have to have it. You have to have a support system. You've got to develop it, figure it out. And it can be lonely at times, but it's so important to put in the work, whether it's finding people at church or I don't know where you find them, but you just do. Yeah. Right. You search for them, you find them. And once you've got them, you have to have those people that you can be real with and just say, I'm struggling.
Yeah. I'm freaking out right now.
I'm freaking out right now.
I'm lonely. I'm tired.
This
I don't
is too
want to
hard.
do school.
This is too difficult.
Yeah, I can't. I'm literally done right now.
Too
and
much
they're
work.
like, no, you're not. That was dramatic. Take a nap. Call me back. We'll see how this goes in a minute. But genuinely, like those people, you can just call and cry your eyeballs out, and you're like, okay, I'm not doing good. Like, I am not okay.
But let's be real. You see people, my goodness, and I know we're recording this before it's going to come out, but, if I could hit one pop culture, Twitch.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Who took his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. This last, he was the DJ for the Ellen show.
Ellen show.
Real popular TikTok guy.
Yeah, real sad.
But, and I don't pretend to know what he's going through or whatever, but there's a lot of people that it's getting them, right? Like there was a soccer player, was it Stanford Soccer? I don't remember what was it.
There was a lot.
There's a lot. Gosh,
there was
yes.
It's so sad.
And so, but if it bottles up on the inside, I think it can literally overwhelm us. I think that's what happens. It literally overwhelms us. But
especially as popular, famous people. I mean, he was verified on Instagram. 3
million followers.
3 million followers on Instagram.
I think just behind me. I think I have
right.
3.2.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
But how lonely, and on that note, I don't know that he was necessarily like leading with the Lord, not really sure where he was at with that, but how lonely leadership and fame can be. I mean, obviously leadership, we're not famous, I wouldn't call us famous, but how lonely that can feel and how by yourself you can be. And that's why, again, it's so important to have those friends that are leading with you, to have around you and to be able to talk to them, because you don't know where he was at. What if he had somebody to talk to, or what if that person could have just been like, man, you can do it. Like, to have those people.
And that's another reason why I loved how those counselors are so intentional, because he had however many followers. You said 3 million, and you're telling me not one of them checked on him. Like, I mean, I'm sure they did. I'm not saying that. But like, if you have just a few, like 1 or 2 people,
genuine,
like they're genuine friends that you can have as your support system and your backbone, like that's just like, it takes one person, 2 people. But like, knowing a ton of people is not gonna do it. You have to build a foundation with people that you really trust, people that really have your best interests at heart, and that will help you when you really need it.
Well, and like you were saying, intentional people, people who are actually gonna care about you and reach out to you, and not just be like, "You good?" Like, and you're like, "Yeah, kind of."
Yep. I love that. So what has it been for you going to college? I know your story is a little different. What college did you go to?
So I went to Louisiana Tech first.
Okay.
Yes. And then I recently transferred to Harding. I'm not actually going there yet, so it'll start next semester. I'll get to practice in like 10 or so days. So it's ticking down. I'm excited. So I went to Louisiana Tech first, and I have nothing bad to say about the school. Like, it was a great school, great people. I love the people there. It was more of I was homesick when because I have a really, like we said, I have a nice support system. Like, my family is everything to me. So going 3.5 hours away from them was going to be hard for me. And I didn't realize that until I got there. So it took me moving and actually seeing, okay, I probably can't do this. And a lot of people can, but it wasn't really for me. But yeah, I went down there. It was I can say it is lonely. Walking with Jesus, but it's so worth it because like Kalayna was saying, like, people need that. Like, they need an example. Like, I feel like I was an example amongst my teammates. Like, I just tried to stay, who I was, and you really have to stay strong to that foundation that you've built over time, because you need it. It's the most important thing. And so, like she said, I tried to incorporate habits. Like, I'd read my Bible every day. I'm trying to read the whole Bible, and people say in a year, but I don't know how long it's going to take. But I don't know. So just reading my Bible every single day, going to church every Sunday when I could, like, even that rubbed off on my teammates. Like, I had a couple of them ask, "Hey, do you go to church every Sunday? If you do, can I come sit with you?" Wow. Like, that's awesome. Simple things. And just like she said, loving them, like just being a friend to everybody and like making it genuine, because that's exactly what Jesus did to people, and it ultimately changed their life. So, so that was the main thing. Just even when I was unsure of, like, do I even want to be here? Where do I go? Even if I do want to leave, like, I was so confused. But the one thing I absolutely knew was, okay, well, God has a plan. So if I just keep doing what I'm doing, he's going to reveal it to me. So that was the main thing. And then obviously I had my parents that I could call. I talked to Kalayna a lot. We've talked to each other a lot since we both went to college. But yeah, so just having those people around me to say, hey, it's okay, settle down, like, just keep talking to God, keep talking to Jesus, like, he's going to show you which way you need to go. So when I did kind of figure out, okay, I don't want to be here, then it was, well, where do I want to be? And so I called my mom and I was crying. I was like, okay, do I even want to play basketball? Like, is that a thing? So she was like, just take it one step at a time. I know I'm a person that I plan everything. Okay. So same. I hate not knowing what I'm about to do. So, so me going, okay, well, if I'm going to leave, do I leave and go somewhere and play basketball? Do I leave and go to, like, UCA and stay home and not live on campus? Do I, like, where am I going? So, obviously I had a good relationship with the school I'm going to now. So I was like, let's go there. And then I felt like the Lord was calling me to that because, it is a private institution. We have Bible classes every day. And I'm like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, I want somewhere that's going to help me pursue my faith because that's the most important thing to me. And, so ultimately that's where I chose to go. I feel like it's going to be a great place for me. So, but yeah, I'm really, really excited.
I look forward to coming to some games.
I hope I can be there.
I'm only an hour from you now.
Yeah, I'm closer now. Yeah,
I'm gonna be sitting with Mario. We might get in trouble.
You may not want to.
Me and Mario may be getting in trouble watching some of these games. Foul,
No. I don't know if you want to sit by my
you see me and Mario escorted out, thrown out.
She's like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Brook Hill shirts on, and we love Jesus.
right. No, I loved when you talked about asking God, like, what am I supposed to do and where am I supposed to be? And that was the most frustrating part for me in my transition was, like, I want an answer right now. And I think that when you're talking to God and when you're asking him, like, what should I do? Where do I go? I'm unhappy. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like this? Why do I want to go elsewhere? Why don't I like where I'm at? Like, aren't I supposed to be content? I'm talking to you all the time. Like, wherever I'm at, shouldn't I be content and happy in that? And it takes longer to hear him than we think. And the answers aren't always immediate. And that was the frustrating part for me was, like, chill out. He was trying to teach me, like, to calm down and listen to his voice and just take it one day at a time, and whatever door opens, walk through it, and he'll provide the rest. And that was the hardest part for me, was I wanted immediate God's voice and immediate God's answer. Like, I don't like where I'm at, magically put me somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, or make this place where I'm at better, you know? And when that didn't happen immediately, I was confused and I was angry at him. And that was a big thing for me, was learning, like, it's going to take a little bit longer than you think, you know, like it's going to take 1.5 years to get where you're at. And again, I'm where I'm at, and looking back, it is the greatest lesson I've ever learned. Absolutely. And I have learned to be patient and hear his voice, and just those lessons that I've tried to learn, and that was the most frustrating part for me.
I do want to add to that, because she's talking about life lessons. That is when I made that decision to stop playing where I was and to leave, I got incredible life experience from making that decision. And that was the one thing, you know, my parents were like, this is going to help you later down the road, because you made a hard decision. And not only did you make it, but you had to do it. Like, I had to walk into the coach's office. I had to relay that information. That was really scary.
Was that the toughest part of the whole thing?
It was. Yeah, it was the whole thing. And actually just moving. Like, because, you know, I feel like I'm a person where, you know, I can say I want to do all this and this, but, like, I'm too scared to actually do it and, like, to actually jump off the cliff or put my feet in the water. So going in there, like, and I knew I have a great relationship with them. Like, I knew they would react good. It was just me actually taking that step and, like, actually saying, okay, it's time to, like, act on this. So having that conversation was hard for me, because I did have a good relationship with them, and I did love the people I was around every day. Like, they made it really good for me, but at the end of the day, I just had to make the move where I was supposed to be. And so that was definitely the hardest part, is having that conversation with them.
Well, you probably felt like you were disappointing them, right?
Absolutely.
And that, I think that's the most difficult part about making a decision, is feeling like you're disappointing.
Yeah, like, who am I letting down in this process?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so vital that we have people outside of our circle. Right? So our circle's where we live, but then we have people in our corner who don't live in our circle.
Right.
And so corner people are going to be a little more objective, right? So here's your corner person. Right? And your parents are your corner people, because whether you go to Harding or here, you're still not living in their circle.
Right.
So they're going to be a little more objective, and it can be tough. But you got to have those people that are outside that can give perspective, that you know they're not saying what's going to benefit them, right? And so, but God, it can be so difficult, because you feel like you're disappointing, you know, other people. Let me ask you this: Did you ever feel like you wasted a semester? Because I think that's where some people can be at. Oh,
yes, I wasted all my time.
I made a bad decision, right?
That's a good question, because it's ooh, did I feel like I wasted time? But no, not at all, because I needed that time.
Good.
Because even though you may feel like you're wasting in the moment, you look back and I'm like, I needed that time there. You can always take something away from where you're at. You just have to be able to see it. You have to be willing to see it, because, you know, you can say, oh, I wasted that and I wish I was here, but no, like, I needed to slow down. I needed to figure out some things, and that was very helpful for me. So I don't think I wasted any time at all.
I loved how you said before, you were talking about you grew the most when you were in the most pain. And I love that, because it's weird that we grow the most when we're hurting the most and when we are questioning the most. And that was what it was for me. I was frustrated at God. I hated him for not putting perfectness in my life, and that it took such a long process, but I needed every minute of that time to grow and to learn and to change. And it's crazy that when we're struggling, and I always go back to when Maylee this summer spoke to our staff about praying for struggle and praying for pain, and I was wrecked. I was like,
no.
What did that lady just say?
No.
Like, you know, you're like taking notes, and then she's like, pray for pain, and I was like,
shout out to Micah Tollison for making us pray for struggles.
Oh, for real.
I totally know what that's. We had a small group leader. She would be around our basketball team a lot. She's like, okay, so today we're going to pray for pain. And we're like,
What?
Why would we do
What did
something
she just say? Like,
Not
pray
against
for
pain,
suffering.
Yeah.
for
but,
pain.
Yeah, pray for suffering. But you're exactly right. It's because you do the most growing when you're. They're growing pains.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think we call them growing pains?
Yeah.
Like because it's painful, but we're actually growing. So
yeah, you're getting the furthest. You're learning the most. And I think when life is always handed to us and when it's always just perfect, that you don't learn anything and you don't have any life experience and you don't have any knowledge and you're not pushed. And I feel like a lot of people in our world today struggle with just wanting to have it all handed out to them. And it's like, when you're not growing, you're not changing. Like, sure, it's easy for you, but what have you learned in that? What did you get through that? And I think that's what I've gotten through my process is like, you know, things used to be pretty easy. I mean, I had a good life, good parents, good home, grew up at Brook Hill, but
great parents.
mid parents, you know, and through that, it's wonderful. And that part of my life was wonderful, but I had to struggle in another area. I had to struggle in school. I had to struggle through whatever to get that, to be pushed. And I think that's really important.
yeah, absolutely.
I think for me, the thing I'm still learning is that it is going to be okay.
Yeah,
like
that's good.
If nobody hears anything else, it is going to be okay because
So good. That's
I did not know.
We need the clapping emoji.
Yes.
Sound on
Come
that
on,
one. Come on.
Ty.
Yeah, there we go. It's gonna be okay.
Yes.
because I did not know where I was going to college until the end of March. And that was all, you know, senior year is like, you need to figure this out, you need to figure this out, you need to figure this
Let's
out.
talk about that.
You need to know your life plan.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I have no clue where I'm going. And I ended up at Arkansas State and I love it. Like, I think it was a place where I was supposed to be. But even though I was supposed to be there, for the first 2 weeks of college, like, people aren't lying to you when they tell you it is an adjustment. Like, for me, like I said, I was in a...
Like, what were some of the adjustments that you had to make?
Like Jaiden said, homesickness. You know, I've lived in the same house since I was one or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, same, like I have a bubble and I have a very strong support system as well. But that, you know, calling my mom, you know, crying helps, you know, just to help you grow, like you said. Yeah. And it's just, it is an adjustment, but I ended up like, that's where I needed to be. If I would have, you know, not gotten through those 2 weeks, if I would have, you know, given up, then where would I be at now? You know, and I still don't know for sure what I'm going to do, but like, it is going to be okay because 7 months ago, I was so stressed about, I didn't even know where I was going to go to college, you know, or however long ago was that? 10 months? Goodness, it doesn't even seem that long. But, you know, it's just like, I was so stressed about what was going to happen, and look at where I'm at now, you know.
Let me say this. I think God knows we're not ready. You know, Olivia is where she is at the right time.
Yeah.
We tried a year before.
Yeah. I was
But
very
I think God's plan is always when we're ready.
100%.
What if you didn't know about college because you might have fretted, you might have like worried about it, right? Instead of you were able just to worry about where you're going.
Yeah.
But then what if so long you would have known and it would have freaked you out, right? I think God knows when we need to know. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, but if I tell you right now, you're going to run.
Yeah, you can't handle that.
And so I need to just get you used to just washing your own clothes at A State.
Right.
Right?
Dang.
I just need you to learn how to go eat on your own.
Yeah.
Right.
For real.
You know,
Dang.
we're going to tell you, Kalayna, you're going to be CEO or you're going to be mayor of a town or you're going to be like,
No.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
will not be a mayor.
But you're not ready.
Yeah.
Maybe you just don't.
And
know,
so
like,
he's not going to throw something out there
Yeah.
before we're ready.
No, that's so true.
Right.
So
Timing
That
of
is-
things.
I didn't
Yeah.
get no clap for that, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Oh.
You deserve it.
That's
Oh.
no.
Oh, I didn't know
There
that
we
was
go.
a feature.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Oh, yeah.
scared of
Yeah.
all these.
Yeah.
What if I say something wrong? And I'm
Right.
like, exited out. Like, she's gone. My chair just like sends me out. Whatever. I don't know. You know those ejecting chair. Whatever.
Yes, those are super cool.
No, I think that people from the high school perspective, and I know you just said it and can relate with it probably, but when people ask you where you're going to go to college, what are you going to do with your life? What? Why? You know, we were doing a paper in English class about different topics, and I chose, my title was like, why college, you know, and it could have gone both ways, and people did both perspectives of like, college is important, college is not, whatever. And in the beginning of my paper, I talked about you know, when you're growing up, people ask, like, what are you going to be? What do you want to do when you grow up? You know, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a nurse, a doctor, whatever they say, you know, the cute little things, a vet, whatever. But, you know, as we get older, we start to get asked, where are you going to college? And it's like, why did we lose? I'm always so baffled of, like, why did we lose? Like, who do you want to be? What is God calling you to do? And instead of, you do this process that everybody else is supposed to do and everybody else is supposed to be doing. And it's like, we lost the, what do you want to be and what is the giftings and the talents you have? And where did it go that we started asking, where are you going to college? And it's like, what if that's not for me? And I know that's not what we're talking about, but just the point of, you know, supposed to be doing the thing that everybody else is doing, you know. And I switched schools my senior year, and it's like, you're not supposed to do that, or you're not supposed to change college halfway through your first semester, you know, or you're not supposed to quit basketball, or you're not supposed to do XYZ. And it's like, why we've lost our individuality and being who we are and who God has called us to be, and the pressure that you could have let people tell you and you could have heard. And I think that's one thing that I'm getting from both of you, is just like, listen to God and not what people say, or listen to God and not what you're supposed to be doing, or the pressures of things. And that's been a big thing of me that I have learned, is also listen to God, and he's not going to hand it to you. And also, don't let the things that people say and the pressure, and don't let people's words get to you. And that's been a really big thing for me.
We actually were talking about that on the way up here.
No.
I told Kalayna on the way up here to do this, I said, or she was talking about it too, and I was saying, well, that is like the one thing that was going to prevent me from moving colleges, was what would other people think.
Dang.
And my mom said, you know, she was like, okay, well, what's stopping you from leaving? And I was like, well, what is everybody going to say? She was like, you can't think about what everybody's going to say. She was like, what do you need to do? And I was like, well, I think I need to leave. But it was
what people thought of you.
Yeah, it was very hard. I was like, well, what are they going to say? Like, everybody said, oh, I can't wait to watch you play there. I can't wait to see what you do there. And it's like, well, okay, so if I leave, are they going to be disappointed? Yeah. And I was like, what are they going to say when I go from D1 to D2 or D3 or wherever else I was going to go? But I mean, it was just so much pressure that I felt that I didn't need to feel. And so whatever you're deciding, it's between you and God.
Yeah,
you should
100%.
Right. You should obviously have the people around you that know you best, that help you make that decision. But at the end of the day, you can't let other people infiltrate your thinking and make you feel like you need to stay somewhere just because you'd be disappointing them. So
Dang.
Yeah, what's God calling you to do?
Yeah.
And I always say people aren't going to understand your call because it's your call.
Right.
They're hearing the Lord for themselves. But just to go back to what all three of you have said, you talked about what you had before you left. Okay? You were prepared before you left. But if you're not creating a relationship with the Lord on your own now, in 9th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, then when that time gets there, for Liv it was senior year, for it's freshman year of college, you have to have a foundation. Yeah. But if you go out there and you don't, that's where people get all wrecked and get, you know.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Yeah. Clapping for that one. He doesn't get an extra.
Yeah, we need a clap.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. I finally got the clapping emoji.
Finally got the clapping emoji.
But the foundation has to be built now.
Yeah.
But if we're just binging Netflix now, if we're just scrolling Insta and, you know, the Tik, the Tok, the whatever, if we're just doing that now and not building that foundation, then you wouldn't have been able. That would have wrecked you. You wouldn't have left.
It took me so much longer to see what I was supposed to be doing, and that is the one thing I can say through it all. The one thing that remained the same was Jesus Christ. That is the only thing that I was able to go, okay, I'm sure about this one. I'm 100% sure that I would not have been able to do that without that relationship, that foundation, just everything, because everything else is constantly changing. That is something I learned throughout this whole experience, is like everything changes, but if you have that, you're going to be okay. Like Kalayna said, it's going to be okay. So
you're going to be okay.
I don't know what God wants me to do. Keep hanging around him. He's going to let you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what he's saying. Then get closer to him so you can hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you know, and so, you know, maybe he's not ready to tell you, but stay near him when he does, so you're close enough to hear him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people have to understand, and it's so important. But you can tell, you know, for people who are listening, I hope this is very encouraging to them with where they're at, because, I mean, this is real life that everybody has to walk through.
No, it's so true.
I think it's so important that y'all said, like, that he's not, like you said, he may not be ready to tell you, just to keep, you know, and you were saying how you wanted to answer right then. And I'm like that too sometimes. Like,
right
you
now.
know, like, what am I doing? Like, you know, and I think just that will help me and, you know, people who may be going through the same things. Like, it may just not be the time for you to know yet.
Well, whose plan is it?
It's his.
God.
You know, you know, right?
It's not
if it's mine, I want it now.
Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. That's
What?
Oh no, I don't need to clap.
We are spitting fire.
No.
We are spitting
Dang.
I think people just should remember, like, there's no time limit. Like, there's no time period where you have to be doing something. Like, I don't know. I think I just freaked out, and I was like, well, Mom, if I do transfer, I got to transfer before now, and then, or do it later. And she was like, just, if you feel like you want to come home now. Like, stop making it such a big deal. Like, I don't know. There's no time limit. Like you said, God will tell you when it's time to do something. So just stop freaking out, I guess.
Well, in your situation, it's funny because I see the perfection in the timing. You talked about how you played in a scrimmage, so it meant you couldn't play this year, but you didn't lose eligibility.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Absolutely perfect.
You get a year to develop and get better and chill out and transition, but you didn't lose anything.
Dang.
Like, it's like, maybe God just had, right.
Yeah, but through all of that, it was the worst to you. Like, you were like, what's going on? But look at that. Yeah, how that worked out.
And then one of your friends is transferring in, and you're all going to play same year of eligibility, right, from Conway Christian. Like,
yes, yeah. Well, and it just goes to show, because I actually tried to finesse the time and say, ooh, okay, if I leave before the first game, I'll still be able to play. Well, I did that, and God said, well, you're still on my time. So you thought you were finessing the time. Don't forget you played in a scrimmage, and here it's going to count. So he's saying, I'm still going to hold you back. Yeah, you're not ready yet. So I tried, and it didn't work. So it's his, just like the Bible verse, his purpose always prevails. So if you're willing to follow him.
What would y'all say, you know, because each one of you has left your foundation and where you were, what would you say was a couple of the most challenging things that you faced moving out on your own? You know, it can be super practical, but, you know, what are some things that you were like, oh, I didn't even think about that, and then I got there on my own, you know?
How much more alone you really are. That one, I did not, you know, people always talked about being lonely, and it wasn't something that I personally had struggled with. You know, I had tons of friends and tons of people and family, and I was surrounded by people all the time and loved it, you know, real extrovert, love people. And then when I got out on my own, I was like, shoot, I am alone. Like, I know what lonely is. And so it's really hard to be alone and know what that is. So that was probably one of the biggest things for me.
Yes, absolutely. I would say the same thing, honestly.
Okay.
Just finding out that I was by myself
all
the time. And so having to try to go from being alone to being alone with God. So, you know, you just have to, it's something really hard to figure out, but you just got to get to that point.
So, like, creating your own community, because you know, there's a moment where it's like, okay, maybe the rhythm's been created for me.
Yeah.
Now I have to create my own community, because obviously you can be alone, but now how do I go and, I don't know, hang out with people, who's my group? And so that's a major adjustment.
Yeah, well,
till this point, it's been created for you.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I will say, for the people who are still in high school and in the midst of all that's going on, you know, we get such a false reality in high school, I feel like. And obviously I am still in high school, but it's a little bit different, but we get false reality of what life is, because it's always go, go, go. You know, your parents put you in sports, you're put in school, you're put through homework, that they do it all for you. And it's the same thing with Jesus. Once you get it on your own, it's like, whoa, what do I do here? And you got to learn to take it. But in life, you know, it's all given to you, and you're exhausted, and you're like, I want this to end. And then you switch to college or real life and being alone, and you're like, what do I do? Like, it's relieving to know that that's coming, but also scary to know that it's coming. So it's like you get the best of both worlds, where it's like, and And I will say it's encouraging. Don't wish out of your season. You know, if you are still in high school and you are still there, don't wish it away.
Be
Don't.
where your feet are.
I was like the queen of next step. You know, yeah, I'll take that. Come on. Okay. You know, I personally was the queen of like, I'm ready for the next thing. Like I'm ready for the next thing. And again, God's timing, I wasn't ever. But, you know, and wishing it away and praying for it the next phase and just enjoy every minute that you're in, you know, every season, every sport, you know, and every friendship, it's going to end at some point, you know. That's a big thing that I've learned. I think that's another thing I could probably take away from it is that, like, people are temporary, you know, and treasure them when you have them. And, you know, don't create drama and don't be in it because those people will leave. And just that's a big thing is treasure the people that you have and treasure the friendships that you have. And, you know, people are temporary, times are temporary, most things are everything is temporary.
What was your challenges?
Oh man. So moving there, I think everything was different. You know, I've always been like an independent student. I never had my mom like on my back because I kind of did it myself. You know, but it was like moving to a new place. It's, you know, the doubts are scary. Like, am I going to do well in college and whatever? And I'm very thankful that I have, like I said, my friend group, we actually live in the same dorm and we ended up getting like really close.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And so that has been really helpful because I didn't feel as like lonely from the beginning because we were all, you know, together at the beginning. But one of the biggest transitions was coming from having my basketball friends to having new friends that and I love them both, but I have been with the same group of girls since I don't even know, Jaiden since third grade-ish.
I think
you know,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Chloe's technically my cousin, kind of not type thing. So known her for years. And just it's like you don't have to make an effort to hang out with these people because you are with them every day. You're at least with them for an hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours or 3 hours.
or sometimes
beyond.
Yes, and you are going through things with them like that you don't go through with other people, you know, running up and like, oh, it's so whatever. Anyways, so you build this like connection and these people, and I am such a like a people person and I loved those people. And so having that not taken away from me because I still do have those connections. I still talk to them.
Yeah.
But it is such a different dynamic, you know? And so I think that was really hard for me to learn was I can still love these people and I have these new people in my life that I can, you know, that are going to be my people now for a little while. And I still have those people, but like that is something that you can't be prepared for until you kind of go through it, you know? But I think that, you know, I mean, it's helped me in lots of ways, but it's so crazy just to have those people, you know, it's a built-in environment. Yeah. And like you said, in sports especially, like you are forced to be with those people.
You have to.
Right. And so it's just a total different dynamic. So I think that was the hardest part is realizing like, okay, this season of my life is over. And even though I will get to see them over the, you know, whenever we get together, it's not going to be the same. And that is challenging, but
it's like you have to learn the art of making new friends and the art of new transitions and the art of new people in your life. And that's a really big thing is like making new friends and new people and always being willing to, nobody's a stranger. You know, like I've loved that part of it is like nobody's a stranger. Like you're my best friend. You're my best friend. Like who else wants to be my best friend? You know? And it's just talking to them and people are like shocked when I just like at school I'll just be like what up and they're like do I know you like
who are you?
Hey and I'm like how's your day going and they're like who are you like what are you but it's like it's so important and like you were saying you had never had to burst out and make new friends and they were always there and then they're just in a different place in your life now and that's an art you're having to learn and just the place that they're at.
Right.
I know Jaiden, you know, you're still getting to play basketball. You'll be playing basketball for Harding, but for, you know, Liv and Kalayna, you know, the two of you aren't playing anymore. And you know, I mean, Liv, both of you played since you were in elementary, and that was a lot of your time. You know, it was your routine.
True.
What's that been like? You know, not doing. Has that been weird?
Oh yeah, it's been weird. I was done. I knew I was ready to be done playing basketball. that's actually helped me grow closer to the Lord, because I did have like anxiety about games and all that. But once again, that helped me fall on my teammates, and that's a lot of the reason why I stayed in basketball, were the people, and I still do love basketball. But the transition from that obviously is like, it's weird because I go work out on my own now and learning that and trying to figure out how I'm going to be, still active without it being forced upon me, stuff like that. And I don't know, I was ready to be done, but it is also looking back, like on my high school teammates, I miss it, and so it's just one of those things. It's like, don't wish it away.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it was kind of like I'm ready to be done. And then when it was gone, I was like, I don't know.
Dang. Yeah.
But I'm thankful because I did not want to play college basketball and I can't go back to high school, so it is definitely, weird, but I'm thankful I'm not playing anymore, but I'm so thankful I did play.
See, for me, it was the opposite,
Really?
It was the worst thing when it ended. Like, my life was over when that was over, But that was one of the hardest parts of my transitions, was because I didn't want that part of it to end, but I wanted the school part to end. And it's like, okay, well, you can't have both. Like, a lot of times we try to pick and choose what we want from God. And it's like, okay, well, you can't have both of them. So, what do you want here? You want to be here? You want to leave? And I think that was tough for me. And also my dad was my coach. So I was like, our relationship is over. Like, we won't talk anymore. Like, he won't love me.
We haven't talked for 2 years.
We haven't spoken.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding. Like, and again, like, that's a big thing. I didn't see what God had for me. We have a new relationship. We have a new dynamic and a new whatever. And like, I was all worried it would end or whatever, and being all dramatic about it. But I didn't know it was going to end either. When we ended on a dub, state championship. Woo! Give me a
wonder
look.
not get into that.
But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about the fact that I was ready to go watch them in the finals. We don't want to talk about
Next
that.
subject.
All right.
Anyway, but I did end on a win. And, I was talking to my mom about, like, that and how I didn't want that part to end, and I was a sophomore when it ended. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want this to end. Like, this has been such a big part of my life. Like, I was like, I don't feel like I finished. And she was like, I feel like quite the opposite. She was like, what more could you have wanted? You broke every record possible in the school's history. You won your state championship. You did XYZ. You had a wonderful season. You got that. She was like, what more of a finish do you want? And I was like, well, dang, I didn't look at like that, but and no, exactly, like that perspective of like that outside outlook on it. But I didn't want it to end. I didn't know it was going to end. It's terrible. But, if you think about it, what would my senior year have held? Like, what would this year have been? What if we lost every game? What if we, whatever, and maybe God was saving me from that, and obviously, I know he was teaching me a lesson within what he was doing, and never in my wildest dreams, sometimes I think about it, like, I could be playing basketball right now, like, what? Like, what the heck? But it's weird that, like, and again, treasuring the time that you have and not wishing it away and not seeing that happen, but, yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of the opposite.
We were very opposite on it.
We were
We
not
finished on a
ready for it to
horrible
end.
note.
But
Yeah,
life is about seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't care what age you are always in a season or moving to another one.
Right.
And I think learning to see where you're at, because I mean you could be going WNBA, but at some point,
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
but at some point,
Yes.
it's going to be done.
Yeah.
I don't know what that point is, but what's next? And but you can't be thinking about that right now.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But people don't have that next one lined up. I see people that, Ethan, he's played football his whole life and now it's over. This isn't an off season for him.
Right.
But you see people that all they do is go hang out at their old school because they don't know how to move on.
Right.
How do I move on into the next thing?
Yeah, and
so,
like having high school not be your peak, or having where you were not be your peak, and like stop talking about the past and start talking about what you're gonna do and and not talking about what you're going to do like you're ready for the season to be over, but like the things you're going to do right now and the things you're going to do today and the things you're going to change today and the people you're going to meet today, and stop talking about the people you used to have and how important it is not to live and marinate in it, and not have to do that. And I think that, again, it's going to be okay, and stop thinking about that and, just let that happen and let that transition happen. And again, it is painful and it is important, but to let it happen and to learn to go through that.
And it goes back to, what foundation do you have? Because if your foundation was football or basketball or soccer or whatever else it was, when you graduate, you're going to go back and watch all of the games because you built the foundation on that sport. But if you built your foundation on your relationship with Jesus, then you're able to move on easily. I'm not saying easily because obviously we talked about how hard it is.
Yeah. Sure.
But like, that you're going to be able to move on. And so if you don't have that foundation put in place, it's going to make that a lot harder.
I think there's a balance there too, because I have been back to a lot of games.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
I know. I'm just saying.
Go watch Chloe play.
Yes, I'm there to like support my like. I'm gonna be there every chance I get. Now I think that will fade when I don't have the girls that I played with on the team anymore.
We don't know anybody.
Then I'll always support like Conway and stuff. But like, it's definitely being able to support them, but like. I do have it's a new path for me now. I'm done with that, but I want the best for them. Like we were talking about it, we want a ring for them so bad.
I want them to do well. I really do. And it's like, but you're okay with not being.
Yeah. So. And that's healthy. Like to have that, like you were saying, I love to support them, but I'm not living through them. I'm not with them all the time.
That's
and that healthy balance of that. I love how you said that.
So are we going to go be watching them?
Yeah.
In the finals.
Oh,
we
better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to watch the Wampus Cats in the finals. I guess it's Chloe.
Okay. Hey now.
We can talk about that later.
This year. Yeah.
Listen, it's been so fun to have y'all on the podcast here. We appreciate you. I hope people listening, because you may be a year away, you may be 2 years away, or you may be right in the middle of a transition from one school to another, or just life, or whatever. And I hope this has been encouraging to you. But the biggest thing, like Jaiden said, is lay the foundation now, because there is the end of the season happening. At some point, all of our seasons happening. So we got to be laying foundations in the Lord and in what God has called us to next. So thank y'all for being on here. So much fun. My co-host, beautiful like her mother. Thank you for being on here. So y'all are amazing.
Thank you so much for having us.
Woohoo! Hey, we need that clapping emoji now.